Hi friends, this is Audi1 and you're watching part 20th of the sqli lab series. Well, today's part would be continuation of the blacklist filter approach which we had taken up in video number 18 and 19. In the video number 18 and 19, we had discussed how we can bypass the comments, the spaces, the or statement, the and statement. So today we would continue further and try to see how we can bypass the union and the select statements. Well, for this we can use two different approaches. We can continue to just blindly try to guess the query as we were doing before, or we can open up the source code and see what filters are being used. There is a blacklist function which uses some regular expressions to parse and strip out any kind of comments, spaces, union select, etc. So let's go back and try our approach. We start with enumerating the application. On request of some viewers, I have also installed the hack bar, and let's do it in the hack bar for their pleasure. So we see that the application is the same. Let's try to break the query. Let's use a slash, the escape character, and the query breaks with a single quote. That means the developer has used single quotes to wrap the parameter. Let's check it out real quick. Select star from users where ID equals, and the single quotes are being wrapped as we guessed before. So let's go back and let's try, and let's put or 1 equals 1, and let's try to comment out. We are sure that comments will not work because we have a function that is stripping out those comments. Let's go back and check, and exactly the comments are being stripped out. So rather than putting some time here, let's just try to fix the query and let's execute. Okay, this should have worked, but it did not work. Why? The query looks logical, but there is an issue of space between or and this one. If we learned in the previous lesson that we can use some special characters and even parentheses can be used instead of spaces, and it works. So let's make it work. Let's use union select. We can even use order by, but we can directly use union because we already know that our database has a table users which has 3 columns. Union select 1, 2, 3, and let's execute it. And we have an issue. Let's try to fix it. First comes the spaces, so let's use the parenthesis along. but apart from the parenthesis, we see that the keyword union and select is being filtered. Let's try to change the sequence. Let's try to use some uppercase U, and let's say capital, and let's say capital S and capital L. Okay, we bypass the filter, but again the spaces is stripped out, so we have to take care of the spaces. We can do so with %a0, and it works. Now if we want to if we invalidate the first part, so we see 2 and 1 on screen, so we can use only the second column, and if we just say database, and we get security. Same way if we say user, we get root at localhost. So in similar fashion, we can just enumerate and we can bypass a filter where the developer is just looking for a string. If we see here, the developer is just looking for if you use all union as capital, all as small, or maybe select as capital, maybe first U is capital, maybe first S is capital, which is actually a totally wrong approach. But still, we see that the blacklist filter is being bypassed. Let's continue further and let's take on lesson 28. I leave lesson 27A for everyone to do by themselves. So we are on lesson 28. Let's clean it up. Load the URL. ID equals 1. And let's see if union select. And we see that we can bypass it easily. Let's put a %a0. So we can simply just put in 1 slash. Why a slash? Because let's first understand what kind of injection it is, and we don't get any error. So we have to first try to find out what exactly is the injection. Seems to be blind to me. Does not work. Let's use our let's use spaces here. %0a. as we see, we are trying to change the ID, but nothing is being reflected on the screen. That means our injection is not working as intended. How else can we do it? Because it is blind, so we have only one option, and that option is to just do a hit and trial. And this time it works. Let's say 4. So as this was a blind injection, so we try to guess completely what the query was behind the scene. And we see that it's working as intended. Now let's put something in here. Union select 1, 2, 3 percent %a or 0a will do, and let's put percent %0a percent %0a. And let's use the OR variable. Okay, now if we see, the union and select is getting stripped off. Let's try what we did last time. Let's make N capital. Let's make E capital. This time the injection is not working, and still union and select are being stripped off. Let's try something else. Percent %a 0, and let's see, and it works. Why this works? Because the developer is trying to combine union and select together, and he's trying to evaluate if there's a union space select in his query. But percent %a0 is not a valid space. Percent %a0 is being used by the MySQL at the back end as a valid space character. Therefore, the query bypasses the blacklist filter and gets evaluated at the back end. Everything else remains same. We have to invalidate the first part, and if we say at data dir, it's varlib MySQL, or if we say @ or let's just say database, we get security. Well, this is all for this video. In the next video, we will take up the whitelist approach, and we'll try to understand the impedance attacks. For that, we will be setting up a Tomcat server separately that will act as a WAF or a web application firewall, and will try to prevent all kinds of attacks that we do, and we'll see how it goes on from there. Well, I would request you all to leave your feedback. That helps me motivate more and encourages me to create more and more lessons. Thank you for now. Bye bye.